Okay, breaking news right now. Ukraine gets CS Czech FPV drones, and they're built from captured Russian tech.
You heard that right.
A Czech company, working with volunteers, is now supplying Ukraine with fiber optic FPV drones. And they developed them by reverse engineering Russian UAVs they picked up right off the battlefield.
The report from IDNIS is really detailed on this. The new drone's name is Jan Hiška.
After the famous Czech commander who never lost a battle. And the tech here is the real story. It uses a fiber optic cable for communication.
Which means it's completely, and I mean completely, resistant to electronic warfare.
And here's the kicker. It costs 3 times less than comparable models.
3 times?
Today is Monday, January 26, 2026. This is a huge deal. And before we get any further, for everyone in our audience that supports Ukraine, oftening, subscribe to Defense Reports. It's your go-to source for these timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We really need all eyes on this. I'm Alex, joining with Arya for the latest deep dive by Defense Report. We're going to give you a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military tech. And today, we are covering how this Jan Hiška drone is rewriting the rules.
It really is.
We're looking at the start of something called tethered warfare. I mean, it sounds almost ancient, doesn't it? A drone on a wire.
It does. It sounds like a step back.
But it isn't. It's this brilliant sideways move that's making billions of dollars of EW gear. Well, basically useless overnight. And we're going beyond just the hardware. We've got a stack of reports here that show a much bigger story.
A much darker one.
We're going to pull on the thread of the Chinese connection.
Correct.
We've got a paper trail that shows Beijing isn't just selling parts anymore. They actually bought a stake in Russia's top drone company.
And then tried to delete the records and they got caught.
We'll also break down the plywood Air Force and how engineers are literally using wood and glue to bankrupt Russian air defenses. And we're going to touch on the invisible pilot drones that fly by sight because GPS is completely jammed.
Yeah.
Looking at all this, it feels less like a small step forward and more like a complete fork in the road for military strategy.
It absolutely is. I mean, we are watching the end of the radio era of drone warfare. For years, the defense was simple, right? Jam the signal, cut the link, drone falls out of the sky.
That was the playbook.
That whole playbook is gone. That
Yeah.
safety blanket is just gone. We're in a post-radio world now. If your whole defense is built around detecting a signal, you're already 2 steps behind.
So let's jump right into the Jan Hiška story. The engineering here is just fascinating. It's capture, reverse engineer, and then improve.
Right. It started right on the zero line. Ukrainian soldiers managed to get their hands on a Russian fiber optic drone, the Prince Vandal Novgorodsky, or KVN.
And usually those things just detonate, right? There's nothing left.
Almost nothing. But this one was mostly intact, so instead of just studying it there, they sent it to Czech specialists, specifically to the volunteers at Derek Pro Putina and the engineers at a company called Spark.
Derek Pro Putina. That's the kill for Putin, right? The crowdfunders.
The very same. They're the ones who raise money for tanks and ammo. So they partnered with Spark to tear this Russian drone apart. And the problem they had to solve was, pretty tough.
Yeah.
We all think of fiber optics as these thick cables under the ground, but this is a drone unspooling kilometers of glass filament thinner than a human hair.
While flying at, what, 100 kilometers an hour?
Yeah.
Diving and banking?
Exactly. The physics of that are a nightmare. If that spool snags for just a microsecond, the line snaps, and your drone is just a brick.
It goes blind.
Instantly. So the Czech team didn't just copy the Russian design, they made it better. The specs on the Jan Hiška show, they actually pushed the range past the original.
And range is everything in FPV warfare. It means your operator is safer and the enemy's rear area is not. So how does it stack up?
While the Russian Prince Vandal usually has a 15, maybe 20 kilometer spool, the Jan Hiška is flying with a 25 kilometer one.
That extra 5 kilometers, that doesn't sound like much, but on the battlefield, that's huge. You're not just hitting the front trench anymore.
No. At 25 kilometers, you are reaching their artillery positions, you're hitting command posts, supply depots, all the things they thought were in the safe zone.
It just expands the kill box so much deeper.
And the pilot experience is totally different. With radio FPVs, you get static, you get lag, the signal breaks up. With a physical fiber cable, you get crystal clear, uncompressed HD video all the way to impact.
It's like the fog of war is just gone for that one pilot. And of course, the jamming immunity.
That's the game changer. That's the strategic advantage. EW systems work by screaming noise into the airwaves. But the Jan Hiška is silent. It emits nothing. It receives nothing over the radio.
So a multi-million-dollar Russian jammer sitting right next to the target.
It's just a very expensive paperweight. It won't even know the drone is there until it's too late. It makes that entire massive Russian investment in EW totally irrelevant to this threat.
And they're doing this on a shoestring budget? The report said a third of the cost.
That's the Czech ingenuity. You know, it's a fiberglass frame, not some fancy carbon composite. The landing gear is 3D printed.
A real maker approach.
It is. But the crucial part is they localize the key components, the fiber reels, the batteries, all made in the Czech Republic. So they aren't stuck waiting on a shipment from overseas that might get blocked.
That's so smart. And you mentioned the Hussite connection with Jan Žižka. He was famous for the wagon fort, the Vozová hradba, using farm wagons to stop armored knights.
It's the perfect parallel, isn't it? Žižka used common tools to defeat the heavy armor of his day. Now they're using fiberglass and glass thread to defeat the heavy armor of the Russian Federation. It's asymmetric warfare at its best.
But we have to be realistic. The Russians aren't just standing still. The Jan Žižka is a response to the Prince Vandal. And the scale of what Russia is doing is, oh, it's concerning.
It is. The Prince Vandal, developed by MPC Ushkumik, has been a real problem since late 2024. It's been a designated hunter of Western gear. We've seen it go after the ANTPQ-36 counter-battery radars specifically.
Which makes sense. Those radars are looking for radio signals to track incoming shells, but the Vandal doesn't have one.
So the radar is completely blind to it. It's a predator its prey literally cannot see. But the real threat isn't just one drone, it's the industrial scale. Recent reports claim Russia is aiming to produce 50,000 of these fiber optic drones a month.
50,000 a month. That's not warfare, that's a flood. The sheer volume would overwhelm any defense.
It would.
Which brings us to the big question. Russia's under massive sanctions. How are they scaling up high-tech production like this? They don't have the chips.
I don't. And that's where this story gets a lot darker. It leads us right to what some people are now calling the dragon bear dynamic.
The fusion of Chinese industry with Russian military aims.
The Financial Times piece from last November was the smoking gun. It was a bombshell. This isn't just about smuggling parts through Kazakhstan anymore.
No.
The investigation found that a Chinese businessman, Wang Dinghua, who owns a huge supplier called Mingwaxin, actually bought a 5% equity stake in Rustak.
Rustak. They make the VT-40, the main Russian kamikaze drone. So a Chinese company bought a piece of a Russian defense contractor in the middle of a war.
Yes, it's co-production. And you know they knew it was wrong because within 24 hours of the Financial Times asking for a comment, all the Russian corporate records of the shareholders were just deleted, wiped clean.
The cover-up is the confession. What kind of volume are we talking about here?
Huge. Between 2023 and 2025, Mingwaxin shipped over $400 million worth of components. Motors, controllers, batteries, the works. It's not a trickle. It's the main pipeline for the whole Russian drone program.
So if you're looking at this from a strategic level, China's basically using Russia as a live-fire testing lab?
That's the consensus. People like Valina Chakarova call it the dragon bear. Russia gives them the battlefield, the combat data, the feedback. China provides the endless industrial base and the parts.
And they're perfecting a sanctions-proof supply chain for a major war.
Exactly. And the big fear is that every lesson they learn in Ukraine is being cataloged for a potential conflict over Taiwan.
It's a live laboratory for World War III logistics. That's a really sobering thought. But while Russia and China are scaling up, Ukraine is also innovating in the other direction, towards radical low cost. The plywood Air Force.
Ah, yes. This is one of my favorite parts of the story because it's just pure economics. Both sides have figured out you don't always need a high-tech solution.
And sometimes you just need to be cheap.
So Russia brought out the Molniya drone, and Ukraine immediately reverse-engineered it into the Bliskavka, which means lightning.
And it really is made of plywood.
Oh yeah. It's literally plywood wings, some aluminum rails for the body, a simple motor. It looks like something you'd build in your garage. But it flies 40 to 80 kilometers with a warhead, and it costs about $857.
$857. That price is the weapon. If you're an air defense commander and you see that on your radar, you have a terrible choice.
You do. You can ignore it and let it hit something. Or you fire a missile that costs, what, $50,000? $100,000.
You're trading a Ferrari for a go-kart every single time.
And if Ukraine launches 100 of them, it costs them less than $90,000. To shoot them all down could cost the Russians millions. It's a way to financially bleed the air defense network dry.
It's attrition warfare on a balance sheet.
Yeah.
But Russia is playing deception games too. The Prince Oleg drone Looks just like a Ukrainian Valkyrie.
Right, this is false flag engineering.
Yeah.
They want Ukrainian soldiers on the ground to look up, see it, and hesitate for a few seconds. Is that one of ours? And in those few seconds, it does its job.
But it backfired, didn't it? The 63rd Brigade shot one down.
They did. Because while it looked right, it didn't sound right electronically. It was missing the encrypted IFF, the friend or foe signature. So visual deception is getting good, but the digital handshake is still key. For now.
For now. That's the key phrase. We've talked about wires to beat jamming and plywood to beat economics. But the ultimate counter is just not needing a signal at all. What happens when the fiber cable snaps?
That's where the Czechs are innovating again, a company called LPP Holding with their MTS drones. This is the move to AI visual navigation.
So it's terrain matching. The drone literally looks at the ground to see where it is.
Exactly, but supercharged with AI. It has a map loaded before it takes off. Then its camera just looks at the ground, rivers, forests, roads, and the AI compares the live video to the map to figure out its exact position. It needs no GPS, no radio link.
The silent pilot.
Totally silent and completely unjammable because it's not listening for any signals to jam. Ukrainian forces have said this is the first real proof that this technology works in combat. It's the solution for deep strikes into those GPS-denied areas Russia creates.
It's just incredible how fast this is all moving. And so much of it seems to be coming from these volunteer groups, not the big defense contractors.
That is a huge part of this story, especially in the Czech Republic. You have this real split. On the one hand, you have the government under Prime Minister Babia blocking the transfer of L-159 jets. That's slow bureaucratic politics.
And on the other hand, you have dark pro-Putina raising millions from ordinary people.
Exactly. The volunteers aren't waiting for paperwork. They just crowdfunded the Yanushka drones. They crowdfunded 10 tons of plastic explosives to go with them. It shows that this agile public-private model is running circles around traditional state procurement. The people are moving faster than the politicians.
That's an amazing show of solidarity. When the government hesitates, people show up with fiber optic drones and explosives.
When you zoom out, the battlefield has changed more in the last 2 years than in the previous 20. We've gone from off-the-shelf quadcopters to fiber optic tethers, from high-tech composites to disposable plywood, and from GPS to AI vision.
It's a masterclass in rapid adaptation. But the question that hangs over all of this is, can it last? Can the ingenuity of Czech volunteers and Ukrainian engineers really compete with the industrial might of a Chinese-backed Russia?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Yanushka proves that a smart idea can beat brute force. A tiny glass thread can disable $1 million jammer, but quantity has a quality all its own.
Yeah.
If Russia actually gets to that 50,000 a month number, cleverness alone won't be enough. The West has to match that volunteer urgency with real industrial scale.
And it means the West has to realize what's being tested here.
I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. If China and Russia are perfecting unjammable autonomous drone warfare in Ukraine right now, are our defenses in the Indo-Pacific ready for that? Because if we're still planning to fight the last war, to jam signals that aren't even there anymore, we are in serious trouble.
It's sobering, but absolutely necessary reality check. We are watching the future of war being written as we speak. Today, Monday, January 26, 2026. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. And one last time for everyone who wants to stay ahead of these developments, subscribe to Defense Reports. It's your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.